What up, Bubba? Yeah, man, I've been reading up on Reef to Reef, and there's been a debate about SPS and higher end corals in newer setup tanks. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk about and kind of clear that up with some people, at least if they're interested in that. Um, if that really has a difference on the coral itself. And plus, I haven't been on for a while. Yeah, it's good, but you got some people that are like, how can I put this? Dipshits, just trolls, trying to give you information that they read somewhere else and trying to act like they know exactly what they're talking about, misleading people. If the cookies are earned, brother, if the cookies are earned. Yeah, I know. Reef Community has a stream going right now, but not really competing or anything. I was bored, haven't streamed in a minute. Why not? So how's your clam doing, bro? Yeah. So as I was saying yesterday, I picked up that Hannah calcium checker, and that thing is on point, bro. It's definitely worth it. Um, it takes out the human eye error out of the equation. Hell yeah, that's good, bro. Did you get it? Did you end up ordering a clam hammock, or did you put it by a rock? So yeah, it kind of is like the Alk checker, but it's a little different in the fact that there's both a liquid regent and there's a powdered regent as well. And the problem they had before with with the calcium checker is that you're supposed to fill it up with 1 mil of the liquid regent, and then you're supposed to fill up the whatever they call it, that little vial, to the 10 mil mark with RO water. Um, Not tank water, RO water. Um, and then you're supposed to mix it up. press the button on the little the HANA checker till it tells you C1. Then you would throw that in there. That would be your 0 point. Would be the liquid reagent mixed with just the RO water. Um, and then when it tells you to add C2, you would take it out, and you're supposed to add 0.1 mil of your actual tank water, and that's very hard to do with your standard syringe. So people had to go buy freaking insulin syringes for like people with diabetes because those are a lot more accurate. But now the newer calcium checkers, they come with an actual lab grade syringe, and it's a crazy looking syringe, but it's very precise and on point. So you would add that mill in there, and then you would add that powdered region into there, shake it up, and then add it in. And dude, it's nice. It literally, the only error you can make is uh, say if you don't use actual RO water and you use actual tank water to fill up the vial, which would be wrong because it would have no zero out point. Because the reason why you add RODI water is because it has no calcium in it, right? Because your RODI takes out almost everything into there. Dude, it's so much easier than titration. You don't have to worry about your eyes messing with you, about being, as we were saying, being colorblind and not being able to read it right, you know what I mean? And there's always been a debate with the titration methods on whether you should stop dripping it once the color changes, just starts changing, or whether you should keep going until the color completely changes over and doesn't change anymore. So that's something that's completely taken out of the equation now, which is a huge bonus. Hey Doc, how you doing? Good to see you, brother. Yeah, once some more people hop on, Doc, I kind of want to talk about basically new tanks and old tanks and the effects of that onto aquariums, as in effects on SPS, higher end SPS, more sensitive SPS, LPS, stuff like that. If any of you guys want to hop on, let me know. I'll toss in a link. I'm lonely, all by myself. Yep. Yeah, my tank hit the 4 months and I think like 5 days mark now. Yeah, I gotta do an update on the tank, man, but it kind of pisses me off because I can't take a good video of my tank because I'm running the SPS AB plus schedule, so it's really blue, and it's a pain in the ass to try to shoot a video of it. And I kind of, since I have SPS, me turning up my whites while I film is gonna hurt my coral. Especially when you have more of your exotic corals, like expensive corals as SPS, you don't really want to keep changing your lights over them. That hurts the coral really bad. You want to just set your light and forget it. What up, D? Good to see you, brother. What up, Ale? For anybody that wants to hop in, come on in, guys. And I'm going to take it out because we don't want naked guys dancing around in tutus. Well, if anybody wants to talk, they're welcome to come in. I did end up ordering some photography gel filters, the ones that Ed suggested. Should be here in a week. Hopefully, I'll be able to take some better videos. We shall see. Yeah. So, anyways, I was on Reef to Reef, and this guy that has had his tank up for about 8 months. He kept on having an issue with getting SPS, and every time he would put them into his tank, they would do good for a week, and then after that, they would lose color. They would either go brown or they would go purple and just stay one solid color instead of retaining all their colors. And he wanted to find out what could be the cause of this issue. So we all got on there and a couple of other people and asked him what his parameters were, and everything was on point. Um, so obviously it's not a parameter issue. And at that point, all these other guys came in saying, "Oh, how old is the tank? Blah de blah." And he ended up answering. And one of the guys, not even one, a couple of the guys, they were like, "Well, your tank's not mature enough yet. Once your tank hits the 1.5, 2.5 year mark, you'll be able to keep SPS a lot easier." Well, in all honesty, that has a little bit of truth to it, that the more mature the tank, the more stable things are. But that's the main reason behind people saying the older the tank, the easier it is to keep SPS and keep them colored up. Um, it's all because of stability. You'll have more sponges, which filter out your water. You have a much better biological, you know, colony already inside of your tank, and nitrates, phosphates won't be as much of an issue. The older the tank, also the better, just the overall stability of it. But actual age itself doesn't depict you being able to keep SPS coral colored up. Um, it doesn't. The main reason why people use age as a reason for you to being able to keep SPS is because the older the tank, the more experience you have in keeping stability. As in, you've already learned that, hey, my alkalinity swings are this much in the day. My pH goes from 8.0 to 8.33 from lights off to lights on, stuff like that. Yeah, I'm just with that guy, it wasn't so much parameters and stability because he's got everything on point. He's had tanks before. He knows what he's doing. For him, it was more of the frags that he got were under different lighting and different flow. Parameters were a little different as well. But him not being able to color them up the way they should be and just them staying in one simple color instead of multiple colors, I think had a lot more to do with definitely position of the coral and the flow it was receiving from the light. I mean, the flow and the light it was receiving. That's why I say if you get a nice frag of SPS and it used to be 3, 4 different colors and it turns into a solid color, put it into a different spot, you know. Flow affects it for sure because the more flow the frag is receiving, um, the more nutrients it's going to be able to pick up, or the cleaner you're going to keep it. Because I've even noticed on my Slimer, um, I moved it around into a couple different positions, and the higher flow the Slimer got, the better it did. The less slime coat kind of was choking it out. Come on, one of you guys hop in. I'm all talking about myself over here. Let me get your guys' thoughts on old tanks and new tanks. I know there's a delay, and it makes it weird talking to you guys that way. So many factors to count for. I wouldn't have a mature piece of live rock. Bring in that bacteria microfauna. I mean, yeah, definitely live rock makes a big difference. It will for sure speed up the process of stabilization in your tank compared to dry rock. Yeah, you'll be surprised. Zoas can handle some flow for sure. Flow is pretty important no matter what. It's for cell respiration. It doesn't matter if it's for a coral or for what it is. Um, if you have it in stagnant water or very low flow, it's not going to be able to clean itself off, the coral, no matter what it is. If it's a zoa, if it's a SPS, if it's a gorgonian, whatever it is, if it's in very low flow, it's going to have stagnant water around itself, and it's not going to be able to filter feed or anything of the sort. It needs flow to keep it clean. What up, CJ? 25 weeks before first quarrels, huh? All right. Hey, Death Mage. Right. I don't know if I'd be able to hold out 25 weeks before adding coral into my tank. That would drive me insane. Links up top if anybody wants to hop in. But yeah, it's just annoying when people say that, hey, your tank's not mature enough, so you can't keep those coral. That's bullshit. Doesn't matter how old the tank is. Main thing is you knowing how to keep the parameters stable. I myself right now, since Bubba, you saw I sent you some of those pictures with all those new frags I got of those different SPS and all the other coral I got, and definitely destroying alkalinity and calcium. Much more alkalinity than calcium. So I have to measure twice a day. I have to measure once in the morning. I have to measure my alkalinity and calcium in the morning. I agree with you, DeAndre. That's for sure. It's true for the most part that they are mature based on age, but it's a little different. An 18-year-old will be an 18-year-old. You do have a couple of exceptions for the kids that had to age a lot faster based on life circumstances, but Tank's a little different in that perspective. Me too, brother. In all honesty, Bubba, as soon as the tank cycles, you can get sticks in there. I mean, the moment you see your cycle is over, you can start putting some SPS in the tank. And at that point, if it's just 1 or 2 SPS, you'll be fine with your weekly water changes. But once you start getting more and more sticks, that's when they're going to start, sucking it up. 27 hours? How'd you get that number, CJ? Yeah, it all depends. I mean, if you get all live rock and live sand into a fresh tank, you can put corals in right away because you're going to have maybe a mini cycle, which you can keep under control and have corals in there. Agreed, DeAndre. Agreed. 100%. It's the fact of knowing how to deal with things. Come on, hop in, guys. Hey, what's going on, brother? Yeah, where is Kevin? I'm excited that his tank is up and running. Yeah, you can cycle a tank pretty quick. Depends on what all you do. I'm telling you, man, I think the best cycle I ever had was when I did a muriatic acid wash on some of the dry rock I bought for the 300, and I was setting it outside to dry under the sun and bake under the sun, and my dog went up to one of the rocks and pissed all over it. I had no idea he did that. And then I was stacking up the rocks in the tank, and I'm like, dude, why does this rock smell like piss? And then I was like, whatever. Filled up the tank, read my ammonia like 2 days later, and it was like at 4 or 5 ppm, and it stayed like that for 2 weeks. But after that, never did I have any kind of ammonia spike. And I think I added like 10 fish at once and big fish. Nope, no ammonia spike. Tank was able to handle it like no problem. Yeah, I think there's for sure a difference between having a heavy cycle and a light cycle. I can't do it like you, CJ. I can't sit there and look at an empty tank for a long time. It pisses me off. Something's got to be swimming around and swaying back and forth. So how are all the fish doing, CJ? Oh yeah, that's good to hear, bro. See, the problem with a lot of bacteria in a bottle, besides Prodibio um, and Dr. Tim's, I'm not too positive on a lot of the other ones, but they have the wrong strain of nitrifying bacteria. Um, there was a research done on it, and it's on Reef to Reef by a couple biologists and stuff. That like Biospira, I think it's from Instant Ocean, and I think there's a couple of other ones. I'm not sure if ATM Colony was in it or not. Yeah, there you go. If it's the same, then it's the same. But I know a bunch of them. Like there's these little dry powders that you can use and all that stuff. They definitely use the wrong strain of nitrifying bacteria. Yeah, that's exactly right. A lot of them use the wastewater bacteria strain, which is incorrect. Um, from what I remember, I'm not too sure. I'll have to check it out. I think the Aquaforest bacteria was the correct strain. The Pro S and the Bio S. The If Nick says the ATM colony works, that's correct as well. Dr. Tim's Prodibio. CChem probably uses the right one. Yep. Yeah, I use the Aquaforest BioS as well, Philip. Some good stuff. I still use it. If I noticed a couple of things die or something, I'll just add a drop. Why not? Jump on in, guys. So I wanted to ask you guys, for anybody that's tried out the bubble scrub, and I've tried it, I wanted to see what kind of results you guys been getting it. Hey, Dave. Good to have you here, brother. What's up, brother, man? Good to have you here, Kevin. Hell yeah, CJ. That'll be awesome. Yeah, I've been doing the bubble scrubbing for 3 days now. Thanks, Kevin. um, but I haven't really noticed any difference. I didn't see any sliming at all either, DeAndre. Only one coral that I got the same day as I started the bubbling, but I think it was more due to the fact that I pissed it the hell off when I was gluing it onto the back wall. That would be why it slimed up instead of the bubbles. My filter socks aren't clogging any faster. My protein skimmer is working a little better, but maybe that's because of tuning. Yeah, CJ, I've used the Reef Angel. Kevin, jump in, brother. Yep, pH hasn't changed either for me. So CJ, the thing with that Reef Angel, it's really good for somebody that knows coding. The guy is really awesome and he helps out. That created the Reef Angel, but the one thing that kind of annoys me with the Reef Angel is that the display where you can see your pH, your temperature, and stuff like that, your actual pH connection goes to the display. Um, all that goes to the display, and that makes it really hard for you to be able to put it in front like the Apex or any of the other stuff. And it's a little, not a little, a lot less user friendly for sure. Reef Angel is an open source controller, meaning that you can literally put anything you want to it. You can go to Lowe's, find solenoids or anything like that, and just program it right into the Reef Angel. The Reef Angel, you can write your own codes and do whatever the hell you want with it. That's the big upside to it. In all honesty, guys, for a Reef Angel, if you know how to write codes, it's an amazing option. It's cheaper as well. But if you can't write your own code, um, I wouldn't recommend the Reef Angel. It'd be a lot better to get an Apex or what is that, Reef Keeper, which are made a lot easier to use with scroll down menus and things you can choose. Oh, that'd be perfect, TMG. Yeah, I agree with you, Nick. I'm thinking I've been really debating on upgrading to the newer Apex or going with the GHL. I think I might go with the GHL though. Anyway, CJs, if you have any issues with the Reef Angel, the guy that created the Reef Angel, he is on point with customer service. For real on point. GHL is a lot more user friendly. And if you read reviews, between like or comparisons between GHL and say Apex, the GHL is a lot more solid, a lot less false alarms. It's German engineering, man. It's on point. Hey, what's going on, brother?
Hey, 52. I thought I'd jump on. Save you
Thank you.
typing. At least it's
I'm not
following the
all
link that I know
lonely.
it's taking. Yeah, I'm liking the ProFlux 4 at the moment. The only thing is, I was at one of my associates' house down in London yesterday, and they were programming the GHL Dota 2, but they said the support wasn't really good. So I like it when the company give you really good customer support as well in case you have problems.
Yeah, that's a little bit of a downfall with GHL, but um, it's really easy, especially with forums like Reef to Reef. It's really easy to program them and get them done because you have a lot of techie people on there,
Right.
so they can easily help you out.
Yeah.
But I mean,
Yeah.
reviews wise, it's compared to the Apex, you get a lot less false alarms. Um,
Oh, okay.
and it's solid. A lot of the bigger people like mariculture facilities, not mariculture, aquaculture facilities, um, and farm facilities, they use GHL because you can do much bigger setups.
Ah, gotcha.
Because a lot of people where GHL actually comes from is more of like chemical plants where
Right.
they're mixing all sorts of shit together and they use the dosers and um, just the whole mainframe and setup for big setups. Like I'm talking big. Yeah, I'm thinking of going with GHL as well for the upgrade from the Apex. It's been itching.
I did have an install. I did, which was quite a big install,
Hmm.
and I did have it ordered, but then I cancelled it because emails and that were a bit vague, and I thought if I need some customer help on, some support on this,
Yeah.
am I going to get it? So we ended up installing Apex on it, even though I really wanted to try out the GHL. So I maybe missed an opportunity there. But there'll be another one. There'll be another one.
Yeah. The Reef Angel's really good too, but as I said, that's more for a techie person that knows coding and programming. I have no idea about that shit. So
Uh,
I
Same as
lit
me.
he has really good customer support. Like I remember I was having a hard time setting up the Wi-Fi on it, and he literally, you know, got on a live chat with me. He was like, "Look, there's a program on your notebook or on your desktop that allows me to go into your computer and set things up." And
Right.
I basically did that, and I was watching him move my mouse pointer around and go to certain settings and stuff like that, and he got it all hooked up and taken care of, and he was like, "There you go, you're good to go, brother."
Oh, gotcha.
All right, all right, all right. Y'all see I wanted to party. Let's get this party rocking, baby. What's going on, fellas?
Hey, Kevin.
What's
What
going
up,
on, Nick?
brother?
What's going on, 52? How you doing, baby? Long time no see, man.
Right, doing a lot better now that you jumped in, brother.
What is that? What is that? I'm just one man with a voice, man. That's
Hey,
Hey,
it.
Kevin,
it's
you want
all
to see
about
my
the energy,
tank I'm
bro.
setting up?
What was that, Nick?
You want to see my tank I'm setting up?
Yeah, let's see that. Let's see that bad boy.
Let's see how I do this.
You turn the camera on and you point. Okay, okay. What's
Can you
that?
see it?
Yeah, what's that on the bottom?
That's just double. It's a double base, so they use
Oh,
the base to go on this tank builder.
okay. How big is it?
It's just over 1 meter long, 26 inches high, and 2 foot front to back.
Nice.
And I got the Reef Bright XX hose as well.
How you gonna filter that tank though?
I'm gonna filter it. I got a sump here. I'm gonna use a spare sump.
With a sump? Oh, okay, got you.
So I got stuff everywhere. I got another sump here. Here.
Why does that remind me of my house?
I got a big sand filter here and a big trickle tower.
Oh, that's a big old sand filter.
And I got
That
a big
is.
tower filter.
Yeah, you should use that one on that tank. You should use that one on a small tank. That's with that skimmer. There you go.
3-pump skimmer. So that one needs.
You'll be skimming out all your magnesium with that skimmer right there.
There's spare skimmers here, look. I got stuff all over. I need.
Damn, Nick, you need to like start listing stuff on eBay. Hey, I can use one of those.
Yeah.
I could use one of those.
A metal frame here, look. Another sump up there.
You got the Zeovit reactor down there.
Yeah, it's an ultra Zeovit reactor, but we use it for the Biohome Marine filter media.
Yep.
So we run it at very slow flow to get more
Contact time.
Yeah, more contact time for the anaerobic bacteria to form. I've got a customer's tank here going out. That's for a customer.
Nice.
That's the turtle tank I'm doing.
Oh yeah, nice. Yeah, that's what you were telling me how you were doing with like the egg crate type material.
Another tank hiding away in there. This one's my office tank, the 7-footer.
Nice.
So I've cleaned that
There
up.
you go.
And then behind here, if you can see it, there's a 9-footer.
Why don't you put the 9-footer in your office?
That's
Right.
loads of rubbish. It won't. Well, it will fit just, but it's getting it in there, right? That's the problem.
Ah, okay, got you.
It's getting it in there. But I got like rock everywhere. I got rock bins with sand in, being cleaned out.
Yeah, I don't think Nick has enough rock. Nick needs more rock.
No. Need more rock.
Yeah, he showed 52. He showed me the bin that he had rocks in the other day, and that thing was like freaking on a pallet. Like,
Oh, the pallet.
yeah, it was on a pallet full of rocks.
Yeah, this is my pallet of sand. I don't know if you can see.
The camera went off. Oh, there you go.
There it goes. Okay.
It's like sand in here.
Wow.
That's like on a pallet. Well, these are. I don't think you guys can.
Deliveries by 18-wheelers.
Right.
I don't think you guys can get these yet, right? The overflows.
We can't see.
We can't see, the camera froze.
You see now?
The camera is off.
Okay, let me try again. How about now?
Nope, the camera's off.
Oh, it's maybe my internet.
Yeah, signal's probably not strong enough to.
Yeah.
Is it? Have you got it yet?
No.
I'm jumping back on here.
All right. Yeah, baby. Oh. I just blocked my mom. Oh well. Still park on the street. Oh shit. So what's going on, 52 man? Oh, there you go. There you go. What's
There
that?
you
That's the.
That's a return. Whoa,
Oh, I
what
think
is
I just
that?
switched to.
Huh.
That's like the
I think
return.
my.
That's the exit.
Oh, the overflow. That's the overflow? Oh, that's kind of cool.
That is cool.
I like that. That's kind of cool.
That's all you see on the back.
Yeah, so it's like a ghost on the back where just you just see the How are you? I'm good. I don't know. Oh, there he is. Oh boy.
Let's see if we can get those over to America.
So Nick, let me ask you a question. The back part of that overflow, is it one piece?
Which part?
The back, the side on the outside.
Yeah, it's all one. It's like the hose tail. You can unscrew it, so it's like a few different bits, but it's really well built, really solid.
Gotcha. Okay, it looks kind of cool because it's like hidden and then it goes down like it makes a 90 and go down. So that's kind of cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of
Let me
cool.
see.
Now let me ask you this though. On the inside, the grates on that on the overflow there, the grates on it look kind of big. Won't that suck in smaller fish?
No, they're too small. They're only
Too
like
small? Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Let's see if I can show you. I'm gonna spare one here.
But I mean, just be my eyes playing tricks on me again.
Yeah, let me see. I've got a spare one. So this is a spare return.
Okay. Huh. That's different. For
And
sure.
obviously in here is where the lock line goes in this hole for the return.
Oh, that's kind of that's different.
Yeah. For sure.
Let me see. See if I can screw it into the bits. But these are what we use all the time now.
Let's see, your camera went off.
Yeah, one second.
Okay.
So I've separated the bits out now.
Oh, okay.
Double O-ring.
You got two O-rings, and then this piece underneath. So.
Man, that looks heavy duty right there.
Right?
For real.
It's thick.
Yeah, exactly. When you put it down on the table, you heard a nice little knock out of it. It looks thick.
Oh yeah, it's really good. It's really good plastic. It's
So-
really strong.
So like Nick, how much would be how like what would be like the cost for like an overflow like that?
We retail these like this is a return, and you can get the weir so this is the return, and then you can get the overflow, and we sell them individually, and they retail about I think they're about 55 pounds.
Okay, all right.
And you get two sizes as well. You get a bigger one and a smaller one. So if you've got a smaller size tank, you can have a smaller one.
Gotcha. Okay, that is
So
kind of cool.
What's the for the bigger one? What's the flow rated for?
The flow, I think they go up to like about 5,000 or 6,000 liters, I think.
Okay, not
So
bad.
Yeah, that's some nice water volume right there.
yeah. And then we distribute this media, which is the Biohome Marine.
Yep.
In America, Darmac Great Wave Engineering distributes this in America.
So is the Biohome kind of like Siperax? Is it glass or is it ceramic as well?
It's kind of like how can I explain? It's not sinter glass. They don't break glass up to make it. What they do is they get minerals and sand, and then they fire it, so it turns into glass. But the difference is that there's no, with Siperax, it's like little holes and caves where the bacteria goes inside those holes and caves. With this, if you imagine like, you know what a marble is?
Yeah.
Like,
Yes.
imagine them stacked on top of each other, so all those grains of sand stacked on top of each other, and then fired, so they fuse together. And then what happens is the bacteria sits on the outside of each bit of sand.
Okay. Question for you, Nick. Dave is asking if that's scheduled 320.
The what?
Dave is asking if that's scheduled 320.
What does that mean?
The I guess the thickness of the overflow.
Right.
Like like PVC is usually like schedule 20, schedule 40, schedule 80.
Oh, right. These are, I think they come in sizes 40 and 50.
Okay.
So I guess that's, let me get a, let me see what
Oh, he was just trolling.
right.
No, he was just trolling. See, I take the question seriously. See, they're making me look bad now. Bastards.
Well, on the larger one, you have to drill a hole that is like 43 mil hole to put to stick them on the larger ones.
Gotcha.
So you get a lot of flow. You get a lot of flow.
Yeah, I've been really looking into that Biohome.
I use it. I don't know if it does any good for my tank, but I use it. I mean,
Oh, did you really?
yeah, it's in my canister on my 40. I mean, I really have no, I mean, I can't really say this, but I'm going to say it anyway. But my parameters are pretty good on my tank. Has been stable. I mean, I use a whole tray of it.
Yeah. No, it's really good. That's why I wanted to distribute it.
So, I mean, I can't give you numbers or anything like that, or I'd be lying to you, but I think it's doing good in my tank at least.
We just shipped some into London Aquarium.
Oh, nice.
They're using it in their
See, I love marine food. It works really good, but for me, the only downfall of it is just how fragile it is.
You know, one of the tests that everybody's done that I've seen when I was doing research on like media and stuff like that is how porous the rock is and how much it sucks up the water. Like just like what I did, just like everybody else, is I took one of the rock and put like not even a quarter of it, like just the tip of it in water, and you just watch it just suck up. I just go right up the rock. I was like, holy crap, this thing actually does what it says it's supposed to do. So it was kind of cool to see that.
Yeah, it is really good, to be fair. Right. That's why I wanted to distribute it in the UK, because I just said for it. But yeah,
Right.
you can go to distributor as well. So you know what, you can actually buy bacteria and dose into it to get it started.
I can barely hear
I mean,
you.
I used to use on my freshwater tank. I used to use Matrix, and I mean, I'm not saying that it's a bad product or anything like that, but I mean, I still had high levels. But the 40, I decided to go with the BioHome, and ever since I put that in my tank, I really haven't seen high levels. Whenever I do test, so I mean, I would say it's a good product.
Yeah, Michael Owens is running BioHome in his. It's helping, I think, to get his levels down.
I would say try. I mean,
Plates in the background.
what I'm saying?
I said somebody breaking plates in the background.
Oh no, that's just me cutting up my food. Hey man, listen. You want me on the live stream, man? You're gonna get all of me on the live stream, all right? You ain't gonna get a part of me. But what I'm actually thinking about doing is for the 180, which by the way, 52, I know you haven't been around. That thing got water, salt, and the cycle started yesterday. Just a little
Bubba told me.
side info there.
Yeah, stoked
I'm
for
thinking
you.
about I'm thinking about getting some BioHome also to throw into the sump.
Yeah.
Hey, Stu, I don't know who's got all the background noise, but we can't hear you at all.
Oh, it's probably me. I'll mute myself.
Just walk out of the kitchen or wherever you are.
But Kevin, if you're going to use the BioHome, get some egg crate and some spare ends of pipework and raise it off the base of your sump, and then allow somewhere where you can get a pipe in to suck out any dead bacteria and stuff that falls through the BioHome.
So, Bubba has a question. Does the BioHome have an expiration once it's in the tank?
Not really. No, I'll be honest with you. Some of the other distributors, what they do is they say to change 20% a year, because they class it as sintered glass. But for me, that's because they.
Hey, sorry about that. Is that better?
No, not at all.
Huh?
I think what Bubba's asking is, does it clog? Kind of like Matrix has a shelf life, and they say it clogs after a while. Become Matrix.
Right.
I haven't seen any studies on that to say that it does or not. To be honest with you,
Echem says to replace their Matrix. So I guess Bubba's asking, is it similar to that? Do you have a problem with clogging?
Actually, no. Because the way it's fused together and it's made, it doesn't have the same issues. But the distributors that distribute it, for some reason, they think that they've got a sintered glass media, so they advertise it sintered glass, which is not really sintered glass. And then also they say, oh, that's because it's going to clog. But in actual fact, it doesn't, because the way it's fused together, it produces structures that allows the flow to still pass through it. And because bacteria is on the outside of the grains of minerals and sand rather than in a hole.
Exactly.
Really
I think with something like either BioHome or even the Matrix, it would be a great idea to put him like in that Zeolvit reactor and just give him a tumble once in a while to get that slime coat off of the top.
Right.
What we recommend is to use good mechanical filtration before the BioHome. So put the BioHome in the cleanest area you can in the sump, so far away from the pipework coming into the sump, and then use filter floss, filter socks, so that you're not getting, the big detritus and the big particles settling on the top and creating a barrier to the water. But anything going into it will get broken down and then come out.
Well, I think if you've got a little bit of clogging, say to call it clogging, that you will get some denitrifying bacteria below that, which to me is a good thing. You get your anaerobics.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, it surprises people because anaerobic bacteria it forms very close to aerobic. People always think that the anaerobic bacteria is really deep inside the media or deep inside the rock, and it isn't actually that deep inside. Okay. I've got some images I can show you to show you that.
Okay. Yeah, I'm from the old school where a deep sand bed is what you needed to do back in the day. You know, so you need
Well,
that
yeah.
6 inches.
Yeah, I mean, Dave, I've been reefing for over 30 years, so you know.
So you remember plenum
when
sand
Skimmers
beds.
first came out, and I remember all the arguments before we started using Live Rock, you know. So I'm as old school. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Sure.
I ran a deep sand bed with a 1-inch plenum in it, so that's about how old I am.
But the thing is, it still work. That it's not that deep sand beds don't work. It was in the modern times, people started increasing the flow through the sump, and what they didn't do was create a method where you could have fast flow passing under a deep sand bed compartment with slow flow trickling over the top. So what people were doing was running fast flow over the deep sand bed, and they were crashing it. And that's
Right.
one of the reasons sand beds
Yep.
kind of disappeared. But I don't know if you were here earlier, Dave. We have a sand bed filter where we tumble lots of sand with a big pump, and that's fantastic because the surface area on that is huge. So when we get our fish systems installed, we'll be running that on the stock system.
Huh. I think the
So-
plenum just came along, so everybody had something to do with their under gravel filter.
Oh, we use under gravel. Yeah, I remember using under gravel filters, and again, they work. You know, if you don't overstock and you maintain it and you know how
Right.
to use it, it still works. You know,
There's a place for bacteria to build up.
exactly. What I've done, Dave, is I've just posted up a couple of images into the Hangout chat. I don't know if you can
Yeah.
YouTube chat.
Oh, you're on YouTube chat. That's where I am.
So I put it into the Hangout chat, and that shows the structure of the biohome internally.
I don't know if it's
Oh, I see.
lagging for me. I can't see it.
Screen share. No.
I've just stuck up into the Hangout chat.
Doc is asking, what's your opinion, Nick, on iQuatics salt?
I find it I'll be honest, I find it difficult to talk about different manufacturers' brands because I can get into trouble. It's a cheap salt. It's a cheaper salt. Personally, I haven't used it, which is another reason why I can't really give a from experience opinion. I can tell you which is my preferred salts out of the ones I have tried. My preferred salts is Aquavitro Salinity, and at the
Great
moment,
salt.
yeah, and at the moment I'm using the ATM hot salt. I've nothing really against Kent Marine as well is another good salt. It's not that I've got anything against particular salts. It's just that I look for certain things in products, and what I look for in a salt is that they do batch testing. And I know that Aquavitro do batch testing, so every batch they test it. So I know that I'm going to get a good consistency, you know. The other thing I look for is a very anhydrous salt, so as least moisture as possible, because I do believe that along with water and moisture, you're going to get contaminants. So something that's very dry, there's less contaminants in there. So again, for me, it's just another thing I don't have to worry about. The good thing with the salinity and the hot salt as well, they mix really well. Hot salt, I can mix it and use it in half an hour, you know, and I don't get precipitation. I get a good clear mix, you know, so I do find that salt, because I'm doing installs, you know, every week, every month, it's really important for me for the business that I know the product, you know, the product's going to perform for me. So that when we're doing an install, and if we're using Colony and Paradigm and we're putting fish in the same day as the install, that the salt isn't going to screw us over, you know. So yeah, that's why that at the moment is my go-to salt. It just does what we need it to do consistently.
Yeah, definitely. If you're looking for consistency, the Aquavitro stuff is amazing.
Yeah, it's good. I'll be honest. Another thing I like is I talk about good base salts. So I know
Yeah.
some hobbyists like to buy salts that gives them a high out, you know, high magnesium. so they don't have to buffer. But again,
I ran into trouble with that in my nano.
yeah, I don't. The thing with that is, if somebody else is buffering for me, how do I know the quality of the buffer they're using? You know, so I would rather have a good base salt where I can then buffer if I want to, using the buffers I want to use. So for me, it's about control. I want more control, so somebody else isn't stuffing it up for me. You know,
Quite a few of us in here were using the Coral Pro, and quite a few of us, our tanks weren't taking up certain nutrients or certain buffers, and we were getting high alk, high mag, and, you know.
You know, I think a salt like Aqua Vitro Salinity is more for the reefers that are dosing already, because they're gonna know exactly what they're getting in their salt.
exactly. Yeah.
But for somebody that's maintaining alkalinity and their traces through water changes, something like Reef Crystals, something like the Red Sea Coral Pro would be good, because it does come with a very high alkalinity as a base. So you'll be able to maintain with just water changes. But if you're dosing traces, if you're dosing alkalinity, if you're dosing calcium and magnesium, you're gonna want to know what you're putting back into your tank with your water changes.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, the thing is, I
just switched to the Fritz because, yeah, I was running high numbers on the Coral Pro, and I hate the way Reef Crystals mixes. So I just switched to Fritz. I got a big box of it. And so far I like it.
Yeah, see, Fritz isn't represented really in the UK. That's another thing. It's like Dr. Welsh Magic. You know, it's not about me not selling aquatics, because I don't really sell salt. We use it on our installs. I'm not really a shop where you can walk in and buy salt from me. So
Gotcha.
I'm not talking about stuff that I want to sell, because we don't really sell it that way. But what Dr. Welsh Magic is saying, like, yeah, the aquatic salt, it might be good, but I haven't used it. I can ring Sean up, Aquatics, and I'm sure he'll send me a few boxes to try. You know, it's not a problem. It's just that I haven't used it, so I can't really comment on it if I have no experience with it. And like I said, I can get into trouble if I try to. So
You don't want you to do that.
But yeah, I could ring Sean up and say, hey, Sean, it's Nick from ACS. Send me a couple of boxes or so. I'm looking to use it on our installs, and I'm sure he'd look after me, you know. But I just haven't done, to be honest with you. It's not for any reason. I just, you know, I've just used the ATM, I've used the salinity, and I haven't thought to try other salts. That's the only reason. So, you know, if Dr. Welsh, if you use it and it's working out for you, then, you know, fair enough, you know. I don't mean like I'm criticizing it. I don't want to do that.
Sounds good.
I'm always worried somebody's going to go back to like somebody like, hey, Sean, Nick was talking about your salt. You know, like, that's what I mean by getting into trouble.
Here you go, Paul. You're in. How's it going,
Hey,
buddy?
Paul, happy birthday.
Oh, God. Thank you very much.
Yeah, happy birthday, brother.
Cheers.
You gonna spend your birthday with us?
Yeah.
You got no proper friends?
Only when it's his round.
Man, why TMG come up in the chat getting all racist with black and white sand, man? What's wrong with TMG? Hey, what's up, Paul?
You right, Kevin?
I'm here, man. I'm here.
Finally TMG, back in the day, the black salt was not aragonite, so it had none of the buffering capabilities as all your other sands did. I said salt.
Yeah, I know. We got
it.
That black salt.
Yeah, my bad. Talking about salt and shit.
Is it just like crushed glass now or something?
Huh?
The black salt now, is it just like crushed glass? This one that I've seen, it looked like glass. Like
The
synthetic
sand
glass or something.
it was a sand, but it wasn't aragonite, so it didn't have the buffering capabilities. It didn't really have the bacteria housing capabilities. And it also, a lot of people said you can see every single piece of detritus on it, no matter what. So
Right.
that was a big reason why people don't use black sand.
Yeah, but have they changed it? Is it better now?
They did come out with aragonite black sand, so.
Gotta have something in it. I just use carbon.
Yep. So, Nick, I was gonna ask you. So in the Innovative Marine, I've been doing the scrub, and I did as you said. I put it into the second chamber. But I haven't really noticed a big difference, man. Not one of my corals slimed up.
Did you manage to get? Could you see the smoky? You know, the smoke effect of the tiny bubbles coming through the return. If not, what I suggest is just move it closer. Move it closer.
I tried all sorts of different things. I tried the first chamber too.
Right.
And I messed with the height of it.
Well, why don't you show it to him so he can help you to dial it in, because I think that's part of the biggest thing that people are getting wrong with it, is that they're not getting the fine enough bubbles to be able to produce what they need or something. I don't know. I'm just giving a suggestion.
I mean,
it's hard on the rear chamber systems to bubble though.
Yeah, it's a lot harder with these smaller tanks. So when I was able to get a good amount of, because I was there when Rico was setting his up and all that stuff. So
Yeah.
I definitely know that the big bubbles is what you're not looking for.
Right.
I do understand that, and I did read Cruz's post in Reef to Reef, basically stating what size of bubbles you want. I understand that completely.
Yeah.
So when I was able to get a good, like, thick, dense smoke to come out of the returns, the problem I ran into was cavitation inside of that rear chamber. The bubbles would gather under that bottom part, and then it would bubble upwards, and it was making this horrible gurgling sound.
Yes.
Yeah.
I hated that.
It is difficult on the Innovative Marine. I mean, we used to distribute those in the UK, so I know the product really well. I've still got odds and sods of Innovative Marine here. But the pumps they use, I think they were like Samsung pumps, I think, on those systems. And it's difficult because the chambers are quite small.
Yeah.
So to get the air stone in there where you're not dragging too many bubbles to cause a cavitation, but enough to cause the reaction you want, it is, on those systems, it is difficult. I'd almost be tempted to say, you know, get another pump just for the bubbling, you know. But it's one of them. The idea was that it was a cheap, you know, you basically buy an S stone and use an old air pump.
Yeah. Those air pumps look great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll end up getting a bigger air pump, so see if that helps out.
Also, was it a new wood diffuser that you used, or had it been wet and then dry? Because I noticed that really hurts.
Yeah, you can clog them. Yeah.
It was brand new. I ordered 2 of the Lee's wooden air stones. It came in a pack of 2, so I just put it in, and that's it. I never let it dry or nothing.
Oh, that's good, because I had one I got with the BioCube skimmer. It came with a little pump and a little Coral Life air stone. I used it. I didn't like it, and I put it on a shelf. Then when I went to use it again, the stone was just so clogged.
Yeah. I mean, the only other way to do it really is one of the things I was saying to Cruz with people that, because some people don't have baffles, you know, they just have return sections and that's it. And I said to him, well, what we did was I got an acrylic tube that the air stone would fit inside. And I put the top of the acrylic tube so it was out of the water. And then the bottom was close enough where if you lowered the air stone into that, the flow of from the pump dragging the water across the bottom would drag the tiny non-buoyant nanobubbles with it.
So you basically isolated the reaction.
Yes, you're isolating the bubbles from the pump. So that
Yep.
way you
Big
drag
bubbles
it
go up and
into
little
the pump.
bubbles go down. That's perfect.
Exactly, yeah. And that way you probably prevent the cavitation because the bubbles aren't getting cycled into that chamber into the pump. They're isolated in the tube and popping at the surface of the tube.
That gives me a great idea. I can actually utilize a little more of that Core Life skimmer then.
Yeah, you know. So
Yeah, Nick.
that is the only other way really, is to isolate the bubbles from where they can all get sucked into the pump. But it is difficult on the Innovative Marines because of the way the chambers are quite tight with the pumps just sat right in the middle of them.
Yeah.
Can you see my screen at the minute?
You banged
Right.
your head, or was your missus hit you again?
Yeah, I'm just going to check. Can you see my screen now?
Yeah.
So can you see that clamp?
No, I can just see your desktop.
My desktop. I'm trying to figure out how to do this now. Because I've got that clamp. Do you like picture that clamp? What Cruz said? That's exactly what you want, bubbles wise.
Yeah, double click the image.
I just clicked the image, but it's saying. Can you not see that now?
No, I can just see all the files in that folder.
Stupid thing, this, isn't it?
Flash up for a second. I know what you're talking about though. Cruz was saying how the bubbles were smaller than the eyes of the clam, right?
Yeah, yeah. But like I said, that picture is one of the perfect pictures to show people what the bubble should be like.
Post it into the Hangout chat.
Can you send a picture into the Hangout chat?
Yeah, you just go into the text and then go to the picture icon.
I definitely know the size for it. I know that nano bubbles are at the 50 nanometer size, and 100 nanometer size would be micro bubbles.
Yeah.
And I know that you want a good medium of between the 50 and the 100 to get both done, because
Yeah.
I know that the smaller the 50 nanometers are more for the bacterial part of it, and the bigger ones, the 100, are more for the clumping with like the detritus and stuff like that, and bring it up.
Yeah, your biggest bubble size is like the width of a human hair, basically.
Yeah.
But I understand your problem, 52. Your problem isn't knowing the different size of the bubbles. Your problem is trying to stop the big bubbles from getting sucked into the pump.
Yeah, and not creating
Yeah.
that cavitation, which
Yeah.
it believe me, it's a scary sound when it's bubbling. It's like bloop, 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 and it sounds like your freaking tank is about to explode.
Which Innovative Marine tank have you got?
The Nuvo 40.
Oh yeah, I like those. They were the first range which had the silicon square edges on the tank, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, the fusion
Have
port.
I done that right? I've just sent it to the link. Can you actually see it in there?
No, it sent me a link and it says I need permission.
How do I give you permission then?
I don't
How
know.
do I leave it on?
And in is, my email address. It says I can request access. Sounds like too much trouble.
It does, doesn't it?
Can you just post the picture into the Hangout chat, Paul?
That's what I've just done, but it asks you for permission, doesn't it?
And all of the things you said you put in chat, I don't see either in Google or YouTube.
I don't even know.
Photo.
Yeah, I don't have permission.
But even with what I have right now, I mean, right now in my tank, it looks like my skimmer is not tuned well with the scrubbing.
Which skimmer? Are you using the Innovative Marine Ghost skimmer?
No, I'm using the Tunzi.
Oh, okay, Tons is a nice skimmer.
Yeah. But I mean, it definitely. I'm just doing it because I know. Yeah, I didn't see the sliming or any of that. I didn't really see a big difference in my filter socks getting clogged or anything like that, or my pH. But I've always known that aeration is good for the tank no matter what, so I don't mind the micro bubbles.
Yeah.
My clarity didn't really change too much either because I use carbon. I don't tumble it or anything like that. I just put it in a what is it called? A mesh sock, and I throw it in one of the chambers. But we'll see. I'll get a bigger air pump and see if that helps out because At this point, there's a light smoke coming out of the returns, but not
Right.
a heavy one. You know what I mean? And I get little bursts of a thicker smoke coming out,
Right.
and we'll see. I'll get a bigger pump, and if anything, I'll get an acrylic tube and mess with that and see if that'll work out or not.
I think for me, 52, it's one of them. The reason I met Cruz was like, trying to understand the bubbling and learning how to apply it, because whenever I do something, I always want to know that if something doesn't work, that it's not because of me, you know. And I
Yeah.
think the bubbling, if you're not getting any indication of bubbling, then it probably means that it's not tuned right, because the amount of people that have done it now, when it's
Yeah.
tuned right, you will see a reaction, you will see it, you know. So the fact that you're not seeing, sliming off, not seeing pH, you're not seeing clarity, it means something's not right with the way it's set up, I would say.
Yeah.
I think Reef Gill, when she set up, she had the same thing where she tried it and it didn't make any difference. So she put it down as a fail. I think her title of the video was like bubbling something fail. And she said the other day that, oh, maybe you could help me set up on the new one then, because I think she was seeing everyone else saying, what results they had. So I think it's more of a case of getting the application right, and you
Yeah.
will get the results for sure. It's just figuring out in your system how to do that, though. That's the problem, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it is difficult because if you've got a big sump and a big ass pump, it's so much easier to do when you're working with the innovative marine tanks. It's not, I'm not discrediting the tank. It's just how they are set up. It is harder to do the bubbling because the pumps are smaller, the chambers are smaller.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was running an SR80 in my office
Hmm.
with a Mappa puffer in it, and I did bubbling on that, but it was difficult to get it to do it. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah. We'll see. Once I get the bigger air pump and stuff like that, and see if that helps the situation or not.
Yeah, I mean, worst case scenario, I know like we tell people not to do it, but worst case scenario is just stick the airstone in the display away from your point your flow jets away, so that it's bubbling up. The big bubbles are bubbling away and not getting thrown around your tank. That's the only thing you avoid. I mean, I've got friends that have aquatic.
Problem with that is that I got a max spec 230 in the tank, so
Yeah,
it's gonna be getting blown down real quick, no matter where it is.
that's it. That's the only thing you want to. And also, the idea with putting the bubbles through the pump as well is that when the bubbles spin round, they rub and it creates friction, and the bubbles become charged, like negatively charged. So that helps the particles be attracted to stick to them as well. So you wouldn't get that if you just stuck it straight.
Yeah, I read the entire article and the whole debate between Cruz and Randy Holmes Farley, and I read the whole thing, so I do understand it really well on how it's supposed to work and how it's supposed to bind, and so I
read that the whole debate, because Cruz got such a hammering,
he did, and I the bacterial part of it, I kind of understand Randy as well. Um, they didn't have a big debate on the picking up the detritus or anything like that, or much of the sliming that's going to happen. Their main debate was based off of micro and nano bubbles binding with bacterias. You know what I mean? With positively and negatively charged bacteria, because bacteria are going to be charged as well. You know what I mean? That was their main debate, was basically on that. It wasn't so much on, hey, that micro bubbling will take off a slime layer off of your corals, making them grow better, stuff like that. So,
well, when I looked at posts by other hobbyists, all you kept seeing was, I'm not going to put bubbles in my tank, it will give my fish embolisms, and it will do this and it will do that, I mean, Sabella's going to tentatively try bubbling, but his big hang-up was that, well, he actually said, well, I know I'm going to get bubbles underneath my coral, and under my acants, I've got micro bubbles already, and it's killed off some of that, but I know I'm going to get that. And we're kind of saying, but the thing with the nano bubbling is you shouldn't get that because the bubbles are too small to pop or collect. When they bang together in the tank, they won't create a big bubble. The surface tension of the bubble's too strong, so they'll just rub together. They won't form a bigger bubble, and they can't because they get blown around. They don't have enough buoyancy to get lodged or trapped. But I'm hoping Sabella will see that when he does it. So we kind of don't want to scare him off from doing it. We just want him to try it so to see.
Yeah.
But it's strange. I usually find, it's like I said to Dave, I've been doing it a long time, but I keep saying on Rico streams, the things I do now, I've only been doing for probably 5 years. And some of the things we do now, we've only been doing a couple of years. And like with the flow and stuff like that, the techniques we're using now, we've only done for a few months. And I don't know why, but some of the older school hobbyists are a little bit scared to change, and try new things, And for me, there's nothing wrong with trying new things, and then you can see if it works or if it doesn't work. Yep. I don't know what the fear is. And normally when I see things like bubbling or things like that mentioned, a lot of the people that are anti the method, whatever it is, you ask them, have you tried it? And they say, oh no, I'm not going to try it. And you think, well, how do you know then? You're trying to convince other people that it's bad, but you haven't tried it. So how can you have a voice? If you've tried it and you've witnessed something, or in your experience something bad has happened, then yeah, tell us. Because it might be that you're applying it wrong, or it might be that some things happen adversely to coral that we haven't seen it do that, or we haven't experienced with that coral. I know some like you're talking about mariculture and aquaculture earlier, and I know people that do that, and they say that certain corals they can't aquaculture with LEDs, so they have a range of lights. They can't use LEDs for everything. You get morphs and things like that from particular corals. When I went to London yesterday to pick up my Reef Brights, my friend there, Vince, he's going to be the Reef Bright distributor in the UK, and he got the 400 watt halides. The lights he replaced, he's got a 5 foot by 5 foot tank, full of SPS, and he had 9 radians on that tank, and he's just replaced his 9 radians with 2 400 watt. I think they're called the light. I can't remember what they're called now. The halide tubes anyway. And then a range.
Did you do the double-endeds or the mobile beast?
Double-ended, the double-ended halides.
Okay.
2 400 watt double-ended halides, and some. And he said when he switched them on, it was like night and day. The difference was amazing. And when he knocked the halides off and just had the blue LEDs on, the colors were beautiful. Colors looked amazing. And he's the Triton distributor in the UK, so it's not just and I'm not sort of saying hobbyists are any worse than distributors, but he's not just like an average hobbyist who buys a product and tries it and puts it on. He really knows about the hobby and knows about coral.
Oh yeah.
He was really happy, So like that, I can see in the UK now was talking about going back to halides.
Yeah, in all honesty, man, I love LEDs. I have a Radion, the XR30 G4 Pro over my 40 right now.
Yeah.
But they've come a long way. They definitely have, but they still have a long way to go. You know what I mean? They still have a very long way to go, because the biggest problem with LEDs is not the fact of spectrum, is not the fact of can they grow corals or not. It's the fact of shadowing.
Yeah.
I can see the easiest shadowing looking at my tank right now. I'm looking at my green Slimer, and one side is not getting light. You know what I mean? It's getting a lot less par just from itself, from the coral itself. You know what I mean? So it's once they get around that fact, I think LEDs are going to be the way to go. But until then, that's why a lot of people supplement with LEDs, like
Yeah.
T5s.
Yeah. I mean, that's the way I wanted to go with the office tank, was T5 LED, but having seen the halides now, I'm thinking, yeah, a couple of halides and LEDs.
Yep,
It's the way to go.
100%. Halides are the shit.
Yeah. I mean, I've backed LEDs from when they were first launched.
Yeah.
I've done product design for various companies with LED mounting brackets and things like that as well. So I'm a big fan of LEDs, but when somebody puts something in front of me, you have to see it for what it is. You know, you can't go, oh no, I like LEDs, I like LEDs, I like LEDs. If somebody shows you that, you've got to go, wow, yeah, that looks good. You know, yeah. That's what my eyes are telling me. And he was saying, yeah, a couple of his corals bleached a little bit and then now are coming back. So one of the store owners that I was talking to today, he said, yeah, but how do you know that it's doing any benefit for the coral? And I said, well, if it's affected a coral where it's bleached it slightly and now it's coming back, it means it did something to affect it, you know. And the fact that it's coming back and the other corals are looking great and it's getting growth tips on certain corals that seem to have stalled, the evidence is there that it's contributing something. Otherwise, even like the bleaching of the coral, if it did nothing, it wouldn't have even bleached it. So it's reacting to that change of spectrum or whatever. Yeah. So, I mean, bleaching a coral, I know some of the hobbyists like worry about that. They think it's dying or it's killing it. And sometimes it's an initial reaction to the change it has to go through.
It's a shock. It's a shock to the coral from one type of light to another.
Yeah, exactly. So I know some people, if they change lights and suddenly saw a coral starting to bleach, they'd be like, oh, and they take it off. But usually, if it's not too much of a dramatic change, it will acclimatize to it, which is what this one did.
Yeah.
But that guy, he's got. Every time I see his tank, I come away so jealous. Yeah. He's got a Gonipora that is the size, I don't know, as tall as my cabinet. You know, it's huge.
I definitely feel you. I was at my buddy's yesterday, and he has a 560 in his basement, and he runs 3 400-watt halides over it.
Right.
And I mean, you know, when you go to different places like LFS and stuff like that, which mainly run LEDs, you know, you'll see a Gonipora and it'll be stretching a little bit, you know what I mean? But when I look at his Gonipora, that thing is like bigger than a basketball, like, and it's so long, the tentacles, and I mean, all of his corals are just so colored up, but you can't really, because he's one of those people that uses 14K bulbs during the day, you know, and he supplements with Reef Bright actinic strips.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's like when he has metal halides on, the corals don't look the greatest just because of the color spectrum.
Yeah, yeah.
But when his metal halides turn off and it's just his Reef Brights, oh my God, bro.
Yeah.
It's like the colors you see in there are just cosmic. That's the only way you can explain it, is just cosmic. You know what I mean? It's oranges and yellows and blues and greens and everything mixed together, and it's amazing.
Well, that's what I don't understand, because Tulio won't show the spectrums in the LEDs, and Vince and myself, we both didn't understand how the oranges and the reds under the blues were really good. And that's difficult to do with the blue LEDs I've always come across. The reds sometimes go brown, but I don't know how Tulio's done it with the Reef Brights, but the reds just look better. I've put some pictures up in the Hangout chat for you to see his tank under the Reef Brights, and the Goniporas there on the left-hand side. It's stunning. You know, it's stunning, and I like that because, you know, it's nice to be able to talk about new things, even if it's like you kind of think, well, you're going back to halides, but with what Tulio's done, he's got like the latest like digital ballasts and things like that. So it's different to the lighting I knew as halides. It's developed since I used halides before. So it's not really going backwards.
Oh, for sure. You know what I mean? Back in the day, metal halides used magnetic ballasts. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was giant, chunky magnetic ballasts, and they were probably at the 85% to 83% efficiency rate. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But with the new digital ballasts, like the Lux ballasts, what else? Like Electrolux, and then there is Galaxy ballasts and all sorts of different digital ballasts. Those are close to the 98 to 99% efficiency rate. So your actual metal halide is working much more efficiently and much better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
and they've gotten better at the reaction inside of the metal halide tubes as well. You know what I mean? They've definitely perfected it.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's, you know, I'm not knocking the Radians, but he took 9 Radians off and put 2 400-watt.
Oh yeah.
The price in the UK is for the halides and the LED configuration he had, I think, was going to be about £700 or £800 a unit. You know, both these and the halides. So to think that, I mean, over here the Gen 4 Pros sell for about, I think it's about £700 to £800 each. So
see, the difference is a 400-watt metal halide, depending on what reflector you use. But if you use like I think it's called a Coral View makes, I think it's called a Lumen Max or something like that.
I think Reef Bright used the parabolic, I think.
Yeah, it's like the ones that that Mike Paletta has over his 300, those big old reflectors, like those dome reflectors.
Yeah.
Each one of those reflectors actually covers a 2x2 area, a 2-foot by 2-foot area, but you'll get the greatest par is a foot, like probably, no, 2-foot by 2-foot is going to be the greatest par. It'll reach even further. And compared to a Radeon, even the G4s, if you're SPS heavy, it's recommended that you have one Radeon over a 12 by 12, a foot by foot at most.
Yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? That's a big difference.
I mean, for me now, it's like, as far as lighting is, I think I'll be definitely moving on from LED only to combo lighting.
Yeah, that's the best of both worlds, bro.
Yeah, I mean, the tank I'm going to set up now, I'm going to set that just under the XHOs, only because I've got the acrylic brackets, and that suits that tank. So on that one, it'll just be LEDs. But I think for the 7-foot office tank, because it's all going to be built in, you know, I can put the halides in the canopy, so that I'll be doing that on the main office tank for sure.
Yeah. I mean, T5 LED is an amazing combo. Metal halide LED is an awesome combo. LED alone can get the job done. I'm not saying it can't. It definitely will. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's when you supplement with those LEDs is where you get those amazing results.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm excited to see, because it's a long time since I've used these halides. I've used T5s on a few installs, T5 and LED combinations.
When you plan on doing those halides, see, I like the double-endeds. There's the main difference between double-endeds and mogul-based metal halides is that because you're basically getting a straight reaction tube in the double-endeds compared to having a reaction tube and then glass around it. And because of that, you get more penetration and more bounce of light from the double-endeds compared to the moguls, but you have a lot more options of cooling with the mogul bases compared to the double-endeds.
Gotcha.
Yeah, on my big boy tank, I'm gonna be doing moguls, so the single-ended metal halides. And with those, if you decide to go with the single-endeds, talk to me, bro. I know ventilation and cooling to a whole different degree, brother. I can help you out set up a crazy hood that'll keep your metal halides cool. Because one thing that people don't understand about metal halides is they're just like T5s. If they're too hot, they lose efficiency.
Yeah, yeah.
And it actually causes them to shift their spectrum.
Right. Okay. I mean, the ones before in the old days were moguls. They were single-ended in the old days, but they'll be completely different to what we've got now.
Yeah. So if you definitely decide to go metal halide route, I would say go the single-ended. And the cool thing with single-ended too is they have the dual arc bulbs now, which the hydroponic freaking scene has had the dual arcs for ages now. But now they have dual arcs for the reefing, which allow you to have a 10K 400 watt bulb and a 20K in one bulb. And the way it works is if you turn on the light, it'll turn on at the 10K. And then you can, if you turn it on and off again, it'll switch to the 20K.
Right.
You know what I mean? So you can have a sunrise to sunset effect with the metal halides.
Wow, that's cool. That's really cool. It's like Vince was saying that the ballasts he's got were dimmable, or the ones coming on the next shipment were dimmable. And I was like, what? You can get dimmable halide now?
Problem with that is if you have a 400 watt metal halide bulb and you dim it down to 250 watts, the spectrum's not going to be the same.
Right. I got you. But you can still do your sunset, sunrise effects, right?
That's not off of the dimming. It's just off of turning on and turning off. So if you have if you have your lights connected to an Apex or Reef Angel or whatever, GHL Profilux, you can set it because it takes, I think, what, 2, 3, not even 2, 3. So say you have your metal halides turn on at 10 a.m.
Yeah.
So from 10 a.m. it's going to be at 10K because you turn it on once.
Yeah.
So it's going to be at 10K, and then say at 4 p.m. you want it to switch over to the 20K. All you would have your controller do is turn off the light for 30 seconds and turn it back on, and that would switch it to the 20K.
Oh, okay.
You know what I mean? So the same exact bulb has 2 different spectrums now.
Oh, wow. I'm going to have to look into that, because that's the thing. Everybody's been talking about LEDs. Everybody wants LEDs. So I've got good product knowledge on LEDs, but like I say, I haven't used halides in years, so I didn't realize you could do that now.
Talk to me about that, brother. I'll help you out with the cooling side of it, with what ballast will work the best, which has the best efficiency rates. I can break all that down really well. That's my end that I know really well.
No, that's good. I'll be happy to get an education for sure. No, that's that. No, I appreciate that. CJ wants us to rewind and go through it all again.
Yeah, CJ, we're just talking about LEDs and metal halides and T5s and stuff, and we were saying that LEDs they get the job done. We're not saying that they can't grow, that they can't color up corals. We're not saying that at all. It's just the biggest downfall to LEDs, not so much in a newer tank with smaller frags, but more of a middle-aged to a more mature tank, which already has good-sized colonies, shadowing effects of the LEDs. That you're not going to get really good, like your bases are going to be brown. Even on my Slimer right now that I'm looking at, one side is the craziest green you'll ever see. Like it's a radioactive green, like crazy green. But the side that's facing me is kind of dull in color because of shadowing, and it's not even that big of a colony yet. And I've actually taken that frag out and kind of like looked at it, and the side that's getting hit with the LED light is like really bright. I mean, I can take it out of the water and it's just solid radioactive green. But the side that's getting the shadowing, you can kind of see that it's browning or even fading in color. So that's the biggest problem. And we're saying, as in metal halides, the light bounces around because it does come up from a single source compared to LEDs. LEDs, you have individual spectrums, as in the diodes, like your 460 nanometers, your 440, your different ones, right? And what all these LED manufacturers have been trying to do is create these pucks or these lenses that blend the light together. But that's still not the same effect as a metal halide or a T5, where it produces the light from one single source, and that single source of light has those different spectrums inside of it. So it's like having one diode with every single spectrum in it. Once they can do that, I think LEDs are going to be the ultimate way to go, point blank period. Because they're definitely much more efficient than halides. You don't have to change no bulbs. You produce a third, not even a third, a fourth of the heat that a halide produces. Because like 800 watt metal halide produces 2200 BTU if it's not air cooled. If it's air cooled, it produces 1000 to 1100 BTU. That's already HVAC stuff, but that's how much heat it produces. So if you've got a chiller that's rated at 5000 BTU, well, you got to think that, hey, I've got these pumps, I've got these, circulation pumps, return pumps, skimmer pumps, all this stuff in my aquarium that are heating up my aquarium water. And now I've got 4 of these freaking 400 watt metal halides, which are producing anywhere from 450 to 550 BTU cooled. On top of that, plus your radiant heat that's going inside of your water, it's a lot more efficient with LEDs. But for growing stuff,
I'm wondering if CJ's still here. Or if he stepped away again.
Huh?
I'm wondering if CJ's still here or if he stepped away before he started speaking. I haven't seen him put anything in text. But it's right in what you're saying, though. That's always been the problem with LEDs, was the direct point source and the shadow.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. I mean, they do get the bounce back as well. They've gotten a lot better, and I mean with the HEI optics, or HIE or whatever, the hemispherical optics that they have on the G4s, they're definitely a big step up compared to the G3s, the G2s, and especially the G1.
Yeah.
But still, the spread is great. It's a lot better. It's amazing spread now. But you still have your shadowing. And that's going to be very, very, very difficult for LEDs to beat that because of how the light source is produced. it's the diode is set on a flat surface and the light goes straight down, you know, and a little bit off of the sides based off of how much degree that even the diode has, you know, off of how circular it is, how flat it is on the back part of it, which is mounted to a flat heat sink, you know, compared to a metal halide or a T5, which is it's a sphere, you know, it's a perfect tube, and the light bounces inside of that tube, and then it bounces in the outer layer glass of the metal halide and then comes out. So you've got a lot of spread and a lot of bounce already.
I'm surprised nobody really did a curved unit to get to to encompass that. I think the new Max Specs have just released a light where they've got a slight curve to it, but try and get away. I'll tell you what will be interesting though, 52, is if the use of T5 and LEDs, or the use of halide and LED combos becomes the new trend, like everybody starts doing it, will AI or will Ecotech produce a unit to encapsulate that, or will they still kind of battle against it?
I doubt that. I doubt it, because the way they see it, I have a good buddy that uses the G4 and also supplements it with T5s. You know what I mean? And he's got amazing colors, like beautiful colors, even during the day. You know what I mean? He's got amazing colors. I don't think they're going to. I think they're still going for the fact of, hey, you buy our Radeon, you have crazy controllability, you have proven growth and proven coloring, but if you want to even further that, do what everybody else is doing. Like even freaking Worldwide Corals, they have a little bit of T5 added to it for supplementation. You know what I mean? But I'm sure that Worldwide Coral has something going on with Ecotech, where they just say, hey, you don't need nothing else, all you need is the Radeons. And point blank is, you can do that. You really don't need anything else. But if you want the bottom of your coral, like the base of your coral, to be colored up, if you want, you know, your coral to be colored up not only where the light is hitting it, but where it's not hitting it, you're definitely going to want to supplement.
Yeah. I think it's going to be interesting the way the trend goes. I think that's going to be interesting.
Yeah, but it's definitely gone to that. You know, I remember when the LEDs first, because obviously
DeAndre, he's saying use the cob LEDs in a hexagonal orientation and use a reflector. So that, you know, that's what I'm surprised at, that everyone's still the majority of manufacturers still producing, like say, flat box slab LEDs rather than curved, or, you know, to try and get away from that.
Yeah, and I totally agree with that. They need to get away from just the regular diodes. But even when they get to LEDs, as DeAndre said, you still have the fact of individual spectrums.
Yeah.
You know, so at that point, you're gonna have to do something like, you know, I've had a theory too, like, you know, the Kessels.
Yeah.
How they have the tiniest little LEDs packed closely together with different spectrums, and that's why they have an amazing shimmer. I think that's a very good base of doing it, but to take it a step further, you know what I mean, where you can have, say right now, I have on the Radeon the SPS AB Plus from Coral Labs setup, which mimics the blue pluses from ATI and the Aqua Blue Special. or is it, yeah, the aqua blue special. That's what it mimics. If we
Yeah.
were able to make a single diode that's kind of like the Kessel, as in having multiple diodes in it, made specifically to the Coral, to the SPS AB plus spectrum, and be able to control that, that would be a whole different story. But still, you'd have shadowing. You know, no matter what, you're gonna have shadowing.
Mm. I mean, I brought the Kessels to the UK, and I had meetings with like David Gowery, etc. at Dicon. They came over to the UK, and the dense. I mean, the thing with Dicon is they make lighting for a lot of applications. So they kind of, the aquatic side was an offshoot from their other brands under their company name. So I think they did spend a lot of money on it, you know, in developing it and things. But it was, we got the aquatics lights off the back of them producing the hydroponic lights.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they did it. But the thing that impressed me with the Kessels is they make their own phosphorus coatings, where other companies buy Cree, Bridgelove, Semiled, you know, Rebels. So they actually produce their own diodes. There is a light called, what's it called now? There is a light that I think was featured on Reef Builders that was at Interzoo last year. Very expensive light, but they did it where they had clusters of LEDs and very, like you were saying, very closely tight packed diodes that were like RGBs, you know, multiple diodes within a very small cluster. The other light that sort of went some way to doing that was the Lanny LEDs, but you're talking, you know, £900 a light, and they were very good. And they used one watt LEDs driven at 0.5 watts, but they had hundreds in there. So it was like a blanketing effect of light, and they worked really well. But
I've been thinking of a theory I've kind of created for a LED. Would be an inverted LED, as in the LED light doesn't come out from the fixture down into your tank, but more make a fixture with a reflector inside of it. You know what I mean? And have the LEDs throwing the light at the reflector, and the reflector diffusing and reflecting the light into the aquarium, which would much better mix the light together, first of all, and it would cause the light to bounce a lot better than it just coming straight out of the LED into the water.
Yeah, I had actually had that conversation with Santa Monica when he was, it was before he was producing his own algae scrubbers, when he was still promoting algae scrubber use. And we were talking about different ways you could produce a unit. And that's one of the things we were talking about, was having reflectors within the algae scrubbers, because he was saying, well, now LEDs are coming about, that putting them in the scrubber, they haven't got the space for the light to spread. So you're going to get, you know, little circles on the algae, which you're going to get light and some of it not. That was like, you know, like the fear of it, if you like, you know, what we were concerned about. And that's what I was saying was, well, can't you point the LEDs at the top of a unit and then have a reflector on there so it's bouncing down or across onto the algae in the same way that you're talking about? But yeah, I don't know. Who's is it Bubba asked a question? What's your guys' thoughts on the spotlight system the Japanese are using in regards to shadowing and supplemental light? See, the thing is, I'll be honest with you, but I haven't looked recently at what they're doing over in Japan, so I'll have to check that out. But I do know the last time I looked at what the Japanese were doing, they were looking at where we do aquascaping, they were doing something called lightscaping, which I found really interesting. So what they would do, they would light the aquarium according to the aquascapes they would produce. So in an area of, like, say they did a long tank and they had a rockscape, like a reef, like the end of a reef shelf, they would have certain types of lighting there. And then where that reef shelf finished and they had a bit of an open space of sand, if you like a bit of a lagoon, then they would light that area up differently. So that I found interesting, but I didn't know they were doing I don't know what this spotlighting is, so I'll have to have a look at that, and that's interesting if they're doing stuff different to us.
See, I'm looking at those hexagonal cob LEDs, and see, they still. Oh, that's kind of cool. They've got diffusers right on the diode now. See, LED is definitely moving further than it was before, but it's still got a long ways to go, for sure. Yeah, I just saw a couple of those, DeAndre. They even had it the way I was saying, where with kind of like Kessel does it with multiple smaller chips on one diode, but it's still the flat back kind of messes with it too. Because see, the way I was saying it, Nick, with the LEDs going to a reflector and then into a tank instead of directly into a tank through the lenses.
Yeah.
That's kind of how a metal halide works, because you got to remember, a metal halide, you're not, the most of the light you're getting is not from the part that's facing directly into the tank, because it's spreading out so much because of how the light works itself. Most of your light in PAR is coming from the light that is getting bounced around inside the light and hitting the reflector and going back into your tank. That's where the majority of your light is coming from. Because I've hung metal halides just by themselves with no reflector, and you'll be surprised at how little PAR you get.
Yeah, you're losing it.
You lose a lot of PAR because the light is just going everywhere in basically a 360-degree manner. You know what I mean? Because it's coming out the back, it's coming out the side. Every degree, every angle you look at the metal halide, there's light coming out of it. You know what I mean? Except the end where you have your bud connector. You know what I mean? Where you screw it into the freaking socket. So you're not actually getting that much light just off of the off the halide. In total, you are, but once you put a reflector on it, that's where you get that PAR. That's where you get that penetration. That's where you get that lux. You know what I mean? That's where you get the undersides getting lit up, because that's something I had to majorly research. You know what I'm saying? With the industry I was in, you try to maximize your efficiency. You know, you maximize your yield. Yeah, 1 second, DeAndre, I'll give you a link.
I think that's like with anything though, because the thing with light is like sound, it's waves. And it's like if you can't hear somebody, what do? You cup your hand behind your ear because it's bouncing off your hand as well as your ear.
Yeah.
You know, for you to receive it. So it's the same with light, it bounces.
Yeah, because
kind of light
for us,
and it absorbs it. You shine it at something white and it bounces off.
Yeah, see, for us it was for the industry I was in, you know, while they were small, while the plants were small, you're fine. You know what I mean? You're getting good light coverage. But once you get to the point where the plants are bigger, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
With anything, and coral is the same way, you lose light to the bottom layer. You know, so you're supposed to maximize that, and that's based off of the way we were able to do it was with different reflectors. You know, reflectors that spread the light better and caused better bounce back of light from the floor or from the walls. And you're kind of looking for the same thing in the aquarium because you've got a sand bed. You know what I mean? A sand bed is white. White, the color white itself has really good reflectivity of light. You know, as in black, like black backgrounds are gonna definitely suck in more light, not reflect as well.
Yeah.
So you want that. You want that bounce back. You want good reflectivity. You want to give the bottoms of your corals as much light as well. You know what I mean?
What's Bubba saying? Somebody used a rail and a system of spotlights and a beautiful SPS. I'll tell you what, Bubba, there's a guy called Eric who's just launching now a product called, his company name is Focustronic, and
I've seen that.
Yeah, his LED rotates. So he was asking about us to do some promotion and stuff for him in the UK. The Spectrum content looks pretty good, and that's a similar idea to the rail, where you know you can have 3 or 4 units above your tank and they rotate during the day to cut out that shadowing effect that 52 was on about. But I've seen, I don't know if you can remember the 52. Can you remember where at one point, as LEDs came in, people wondering whether plasma was going to overtake? And on the plasma units did a similar thing where you could have it on a rail and it would glide across your tank.
Yep.
But it did kind of, it was like a half, I think a lot of people saw it as a halfway house between halides and.
I remember plasma, and I remember the astronomical cost behind them.
Exactly, that was the thing, yeah. But the bulb itself was tiny, you know, like a thumbnail. So
See, and the crazy thing now is there's even further more advances in lighting, because now there's something I know none of you guys have heard about. It's called the LEC, light emitting ceramics. And they're even better than halides.
yeah,
The light emitting ceramics, they produce half of the heat, and produce more par. So a 1,000-watt halide is compared to a 615-watt light emitting ceramic. For
Wow.
light production, par production, it's literally a half of the heat of the halide and 2 times the bulb life. And I can't wait till they bring that into the reefing scene, because I think the only reason why they haven't is it's literally a full spectrum bulb, that you don't need high pressure sodiums anymore. You're able to veg and flower under one bulb with the LECs.
Wow.
It produces every single spectrum, like everything. It has the reds, it has the blues, the yellows. I mean, every spectrum inside of it. And I'd be very excited to see them bring in LECs, light emitting ceramics, into reefing if they're going to be able to adjust the spectrum of the bulb.
I don't know whether you
Yeah.
need to though, to be honest, because you could do just use the ceramics and then supplement with LEDs or 2.5s again.
See, I think the problem with the ceramics is they're literally at like 6,500 Kelvin.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, they gotta control the color.
Yeah, once they're able to control the color of it, if they can even get a 10K light emitting ceramic, it's done and over with. That'll be the only thing I do from now on. Point blank period.
So when you talk about like futures and lightings, I always somehow tend to look at automotive industry because they have like a pretty good spectrum. And the new thing in the automotive industry is laser headlamps, right? So
Yeah.
it's just lasers exciting the different phosphors of a light to emit that light out.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? You think that might have an application in the aquarium world?
It very well could. There's so many advances in technology right now. Like, honestly, I think too, with most of you guys have heard about graphene, right?
Yeah.
So graphene, I think, is going to have a big role to play in our advances in technology, period, including lighting. You know what I mean? It's going to make things much more efficient, run much better, and allow us to do things that we weren't able to do before. So there's definitely there's a lot of exciting things coming to us. That's for sure. We're living in a very good era. So definitely something to look forward to. But I really am, and I have been talking to the manufacturers of the LEC light, and I've been talking to them, and I've been trying to get them interested in making a marine version of the LEC. If they do that, I promise you guys, it's crazy. It
Yeah.
has much better penetration and bounce back than even metal halides do.
Wow.
Much better. It's just all around a better light than the metal halide. And shit, the bulbs cost the same price, but
Wow.
you get twice the lifespan.
Mm.
You know what I mean? It's amazing. It's amazing what they have done. Um, I can't wait. I'm trying. If I can get more people to contact this manufacturer and be like, look, we love your light in the marine industry. I think we can get them to make a move on it because I don't think they understand how much money they can potentially make.
That's always the problem with aquatics, is that some of the companies that have technologies, it's a small market for them, you know. Excuse me. That's the only problem with it. It's like with us dealing with American companies. You know, we're here in the UK. It's a small hobby market, so that's why we have trouble getting stuff over from America sometimes, because you know the market over there with the amount of hobbyists you guys have, it's like not worth their trouble to send it to us in the UK. You know,
Yeah.
so that is the problem. You know.
Yeah, for sure. But yeah, dude, that's what I've been trying for really, 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 really hard, is just trying to convince these guys that, hey man, get your LEC into the reefing industry, into the marine industry. And I mean, the difference is astronomical, man. I swear it's crazy. It especially when they came out for hydroponics, you know, for cultivation, it was crazy. They're expensive units, don't get me wrong, because you can get 1,000 watt metal halide bulb and ballast and reflector, like a hood, for around $450 at wholesale. You know what I mean? Retail, you're looking at $800. But
Right.
the LEC, it comes with it's a hood, bulb, and ballast in one unit, so it's not separate. You just have one cord coming out of it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So you don't have to have your ballast in one position and then a cord going from your ballast to your socket and then from your ballast going to your light. No, it's all in one unit.
Yeah.
But those things are going for $700. But there's off-brand ones coming around now, which are a little bit cheaper, but still, that's at 615 watts, which produces an equivalent of 1,000 watt metal halide. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? So if they can make one that's probably like 300 watts, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
For the marine industry, like 300 watts would be beautiful. It'd be perfect. But they produce literally half of the freaking heat that the metal halides do. They produce twice the power output, the light output of half the watts. It's ridiculous.
So
Right.
I have a question because you seem to know a bit more about them. Is the fact that the color spectrum different, or limited, I guess I should say, a result of the process? So a result of the ceramic metal halide process itself, or is it, because I haven't looked at the bulbs, I'm looking at some of the other tech, or is it something that's configurable? Because I'm looking at the ones that are for the grow lights, and they specifically talk about one of the big advantages is that it gives off a natural spectrum of light.
Yes.
Right. And I'm trying to figure out if that's inherent to the actual process of the bulb itself, or if that's just what they're advertising for these grow lights.
I think that's what they're advertising for the grow lights, personally. Because if you're able to shift the color spectrum of metal halides from 6700K up to 20K, I'm damn sure you're going to be able to do it with the ceramics as well. You know, I might be wrong. I might be wrong. If it's just the process itself and that's the only spectrum you're able to get out of it, then we're shit out of luck.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because it does produce a lot of the reds. It does, and that's a problem for marine aquariums. You know, we don't want reds. We want a little bit. You know what I mean? To make color,
Right.
to make corals pop more, but we don't want it because the red's not really viable and usable for coral, like at
Well,
all.
I mean, it's usable, but it's also promotes a lot of nuisance algae.
Yeah, and that'd be a big problem because we don't want to grow GHA. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've been talking to them. They've been really vague. They've been really um, saying it's not worth it. You know, there's not that much money in it. I'm like, you guys would be surprised that you guys if you can bring it in, if you can do it the way it's like to what we need in the marine industry, you guys can make a lot of money off of that because that would be a great technology to come in. Because if I can get something that's taking
Hey,
in,
all you need to do is give them two examples. One being the Kessel, which is a brand owned by Dicon.
you know,
Yeah, and they specialized in lighting for pharmaceutical instruments to ambient light units for the home and hydroponics, and then they went into aquatics. So why did they do that? The other example you can give is Philips. You know, Philips, one of the largest electronics company in the world, and they've just developed the Coral Care Light, which is an aquatic light. So why did they do it if it wasn't worth doing?
that's a good
Philips
point. That's
actually,
something
Philips
I should definitely bring up.
Yeah, two big
Philips actually
multi-million
makes
companies there.
some of these LEC light bulbs.
Yeah, they actually do. They make those LEC light bulbs. Philips is the main creator of them. So maybe that's something they're looking into it. But I've been talking to the manufacturers of the actual the ballast, the hood, the reflector, the ones that created the whole system, you know, not just a light bulb.
Right.
So I've been talking to them, but that's a good point. That's something I can definitely bring up that hey, you know, like I didn't think of that. Like, hey, look at Kessel, look at Philips, the people that are creating these LEC bulbs, you know, that are mass producing those bulbs. They have marine applications.
Yeah, I think I'm looking at this. It looks like you can get bulbs in two different colors now, the 3100 and the 4200
Yeah, see, there you go.
Kelvin.
So
So
if
it
they
looks like
can,
they're tunable,
yep. So
at
that's
least so
great.
far.
Yeah, dude, if they can get that up to at least 10K, 12K, I would rock that all day. Because I would,
I
if they
mean,
made a 10K one, I would definitely have some big time supplementation from the Reef Brights, the XHOs, you know, to get some color in there.
Yeah.
But for growing the corals, that would be amazing light. And it would definitely, you would have no shadowing at all.
That'd be interesting, right?
It was crazy. When I did my comparisons at the warehouse in our lab, we had 5 different lab rooms, and in each lab rooms we had our controls and our variations, you know what I mean, our variables, and everything was on point. And we did different lights, different hoods, different reflectors, and those LEC lights, man, they had some really good bounce back to the point where even the bottoms and the inner parts of the plants were getting sufficient light.
and just looking at it and looking at some of the fixtures, it's kind of interesting because the bulb looks a lot like a metal halide bulb, right? At least
Yes.
the one ended. But the way they some of these fixtures, the way they orient the bulb is not
Facing downwards. Yeah.
yeah, it's the exact opposite of what metal halide bulbs are.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 90-degree turn.
Yep. It's facing exactly downwards, and the reflector is all around it. And I think that's a big part of why they're getting such good bounce around. Because as I was saying earlier, if you take just a metal halide bulb with no reflector and hang it and give it power, the light's just gonna go everywhere. You know what I mean? And even if you have it sitting sideways and the top part is hitting the reflection and then going down, you're still losing some of the light from the bottom part going stray and seeping out the sides. You know what I mean? But when you have the bulb facing downwards and the reflector all around it in a 360-degree manner, you're getting much better reflection and use and efficiency of your light.
It's kind of interesting. They're charging you $1,000 for one of these fixtures, but the ballast costs $200. The bulb costs $100.
You can get them for around like 700, 715 wholesale.
Yeah. So now, interesting.
Yeah, so if we can get some more people be like, look, if you can make a 14K bulb, dude, you guys are fucking golden. You know what I mean? That would be just gold. 14K bulb with a couple of reef brights, and that's it, man. That would be
what is I don't know, maybe, I mean, because Nick obviously has more experience with working with vendors. Would that be the easier way to go, to get a vendor that creates a ceramic light to move into the marine industry, the aquarium industry, or get someone who's already in the aquarium industry doing, say, a metal halide bulb, and convincing them to switch and research a ceramic light?
I'll be honest with you, DeAndre, it's for me, it's a difficult one because from my experience with fixtures, you sometimes find that people who aren't in the aquatic hobby, who then decide to make an aquatic light, they concentrate on the light and not, for example, the functionality or usability. So I'll be honest with Kessil, I gave them a bit of feedback and said with the original Kessil A350, if you know that product, they had one control for the white and one control for the blue. So it was a 2-channel light. Yeah. And I had a meeting and I said, look, for me, it would be better if one controlled the color and one controlled the intensity, which is what they changed on the 360.
Right.
So for me, my experience, usually they, like I also said to Kessil, I would have preferred a little bit more red. And yes, I understand it doesn't do anything for the coral, but for me as a hobbyist, I'll be able to see the subtle pinks, the subtle reds in the coral coming out, because you're shining the light on it and it's bouncing off and showing those colors. But what they said to me was, yeah, but the coral doesn't need the color, so why would we put it in? So that's kind of like the differences for me. They're looking at it from a performance point of view rather than as well as an aesthetic point of view.
Right.
I think if what you were saying, yeah, if you've got somebody who already produces aquatic lights, so they know what their customers want, they know what the hobbyists want, then they can get that balance between a light that performs, but also in the way that a hobbyist would want. So in a way that would be controllable, functionable, and yeah, put in some lighting spectrum in there that it doesn't do anything for the coral doesn't necessarily use it, but for us, it makes the coral look nice. So I would dare to say that I think that would be the better approach, is to get somebody who already manufactures aquatic lighting to approach the bulb manufacturer and say, can we have a bulb that does this? And can we use it in a fixture that will allow our customers to do this with the fixture? So for example, if we use the ceramic bulb, could we dim it? You know, could we hook it up to a controller? You know, will it accept, you know, the various variable amperages and wattages that I don't know if you know, but the problem we had with LEDs before was that when you dim the LED, if you dim it one way, like 52 was saying about the halides, if you dim it one way, the spectrum actually changes. So yes, it looks like a lower intensity, but it's also a different spectrum. And if you dim it another way, then you don't lose the spectrum. It's just the intensity of the light. But that technology years ago was very expensive. You couldn't do it. Both the LED technology and the dimming processes weren't on a par, and it was very expensive to do that. Nowadays, I think they do actually do it that way.
Yeah, that
So,
pulse width modulation.
So you guys,
that's it exactly.
you guys want to hear a funny thing? So the lifetime of the LEC lamp is 20,000 hours.
Right. So LEDs, you're about 14,000, but the deterioration starts at about 11, I think.
Yeah.
About 11 years, and it starts to deteriorate, right?
Yeah. So 8,000 hours is when the deterioration starts for the LEC, but the lifetime is 20,000 hours. And it produces 105 lumens per watt.
Wow.
So, and they do have a 315 watt, but and I'm looking at it right now, the Sun Systems LEC 315, and it's air cooled as well to give you some more control with the heat, you know. But the problem is it's a 3100K lamp, and the highest they have is a 4200K. So those are the two temperatures you said. If they were able to make like a 14K, a 10K, it would be beautiful, man. Because I mean, 105 lumens per watt. That's crazy.
I'll be honest though, I'd still be tempted to get a 31K bulb, because you can control. If it's just nuisance algae you're worried about, you can control that. Like, you know, I know people that have used sunlight, you know, 65K, you know, and they don't get hair algae. You know,
yeah, it would be much more of controlling your parameters in your tank.
Yeah.
But you would have to have some heavy blue supplementation for your corals not to just brown out.
Yeah, exactly. But that's what I'd be tempted to do.
You know, but I mean, 31K is still a little hot. That's pretty hot. That's pretty steep. I mean, I'd be fine even if they made a 6700.
I mean, the reality of it is, I mean, this is just me and my thoughts and the way I go off in tangents. You could use a filter to filter out the.
I was thinking that, DeAndre, as well. Yeah.
Yeah. Spectrums of light that you don't like.
This the Sun System, it's the reflector, the ballast, and the bulb for $550, and that's at MSRP is 709, and right now you can get it for 550. So I could potentially get that even less, probably for around 400.
Yeah. I mean, because that's what happens in the real world, in the ocean, right? So you get this sun-colored light, and the water actually filters out some of this spectrum, which is why it looks really blue once you get down deeper.
Yeah, yeah.
Depending on which coral you have. If you've got shallow reef coral, rock pool coral, it doesn't get filtered that much, right?
Oh yeah, if you have a shallow reef, you don't need to do nothing.
Exactly.
For sure. But yeah, I'm definitely gonna get into it more with them. I'll bring up the points of Phillips and bring up the points of Kessel, and see if I can get them to make a bulb that's. And you know, in all honesty, I think it'd be much easier for me to talk to Phillips, because if they're creating the LEC bulbs, I can be like, hey, can you guys make a 14K freaking LEC bulb? You know what I mean? And if they can make the 14K LEC bulb, it'll run off of any LEC ballast and reflector. So that would have nothing to do with the manufacturer of the system. You know what I mean? I'd be able to get a Sun System reflector and ballast and just get the bulb from Phillips.
You know, the one thing
I might have a word with Tulio at Reef Brian and see if he's heard of it yet.
Yeah, the one thing I haven't seen yet coming out of this is, what's the heat output?
It's literally, so okay. You saw that there's the 315 LEC and the 630, right?
Yeah. Yep. Okay.
So the 630 is the competitor for 1,000 watt metal halide. Okay.
Gotcha.
1,000 watt metal halide without air cooling produces 4,000 BTU.
Okay.
Okay. when it's air cooled, it produces 2000 BTU.
Okay.
And it doesn't matter if the ambient outside air is 100 degrees, it'll still half the freaking the heat production from the 1000-watt halide. The 630 produces 2000 without air cooling.
Okay.
With air cooling, it produces around 1100 BTU.
And what's that in respect to? I mean, I understand this is a direct comparison for metal halide, but we all know that in this reef community, you got people that are using LEDs and T5s. So I guess what's that kind of in respect to like a T5 or an LED? You know what I mean?
Oh my God. It's definitely still a lot higher than any of those.
Because when I hear a lot of people talk about metal halide, right, or especially people who've used them, they're like, I love them, but they create a lot of heat. And because they create a lot of heat, I end up having to use a chiller because of it, right? So, and that's kind of where I get a lot of people in this aquarium hobby. They'll be like, if I can get away with a light that grows decently, but I don't have to buy extra equipment to make sure that I'm still operating in normal parameters.
Okay, so check this out. So a 400-watt metal halide without air cooling produces 1350 BTU. So if a LED produces half of that, you're looking at, say, 750, right? Or just 700 BTU.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a big difference between 1100 BTU and freaking 700 BTU. Let's
But
see.
it also depends how many units you need. I mean, it's like Vince,
Exactly,
you know,
because
he
that's
needed,
each unit producing that heat.
it's like Vince just swapped out 9 Radians for 2 400-watt halides. So his heat has gone down because of how many LED units he needed to light his tank.
To cover that same thing.
Exactly, yeah. So his has gone down massively because even at the ratios 52 was giving you 9 times half. So, you know, and then he's gone to 2. So he's still less than half the heat.
Yeah.
Switching
Yeah, so
to halide.
that's definitely something to, it's going to produce more heat than an LED with the LEC, but it's going to produce less heat than a metal halide. So you're like in the sweet middle of LED and halide for heat production. But you get ridiculous performance from this bulb. Ridiculous. And I really am. I'm going to crank it up, and then I'm going to start talking more and more to them and try to push them and talk to Philips to make a 14K bulb, LEC bulb. If they do, I swear that'll be the only thing I'll run on my tanks ever with some supplementation.
I'm just kind of flipping through my stuff and thoughts and ideas because this is my mindset. So,
hey guys, I've got to head out, but I'll catch up with you soon.
All right, talk to you later, Nick.
Take it easy, guys. Bye.
Later, brother.
I'm just curious if I don't know, because it seems like you can still obviously grow coral at 4200K.
Yeah, you can, for sure.
I mean, it's a full spectrum light. So, I was just wondering. So you're talking about $500 for one full setup?
Yep.
I'm just wondering what a pilot program would look like, even at a 4200K bulb.
What will it look like?
Well, like just setting up a tank with one of these little fixtures.
Like, yeah, that's something I'm probably gonna end up doing with just a regular bulb.
Yeah.
With a regular 4200 bulb and see what happens.
I mean, worst case scenario, you could technically use a glass filter and filter out whatever spectrums of light that you're trying to eliminate.
Yeah, you can just put a blue glass filter in front of it, you know. But doing that, anytime you put glass in front
Yeah, you're going to
of
increase
your
heat and
metal
cut power.
halide, you're losing 20% of your light.
Yeah, I mean, but all these lights create UVC too, so you got to filter
Yeah.
some of that UVC out too.
It comes with that glass that comes on the hood.
Yeah,
It's UV protected. So
gotcha. Yeah, when you add a filter, you cut a lot of your light out, a lot of your power probably out on that
yeah.
too,
Oh yeah.
and
So
you create another hot spot.
that's why it'd be better to get them to just create a 14K bulb,
Yeah,
or at least a 10K, a 7200, a 7400. You know
yeah.
what I mean? Something higher.
I guess
Um,
where I was going with it is just simply proof of concept, right? Proof of concept isn't your finished product, right? It just says, hey, look, this works. Now you can build it in a format that's more user friendly.
mhm.
Everything is good.
Yeah. One sec. Tomer, what I mean by quality of the light is if you get a 6500K bulb from China compared to the ATI, if ATI even makes one, I think Giesmann makes them. I don't think ATI makes 6500s. Um, it'll basically be in the lifespan of the bulb and the accuracy of the actual Kelvin itself. Because you can get a Chinese bulb that's 6500K and it actually produce like 6800 or 5400. That's the problem with buying the cheaper T5s. But if you get it from a well-established company, I know Electrolux, no, Spectralux. Spectralux creates really good 6700, 6500K bulbs, and they're decently cheap. I know, what was that other company? Damn it. Here, 1 second. I'll tell you what the other company was for those bulbs. Come on, load. iHortolux makes really good ones. Ultrasun. Um, Philips makes really good ATI bulbs. I mean T5 bulbs. Why am I saying ATI bulbs? Ultrasun. So there's definitely many good ones. I know Philips is decently cheap. I think you can get a case of 10 um, for like $80. All right, but as we were saying, yeah, I definitely feel you on that. I You can work around it for sure, but it's like you take a loss somewhere with the filter. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, oh yeah,
You take a loss, but if they were able to make the damn bulb, you don't have to take the loss. You
yeah.
can
Like I
just
said, I was just
put it in.
speaking in that more proof of concept type of world.
Yeah. Yeah, but in the and definitely the agricultural and cultivation um, sense, the LEC has taken over. Um, they're much more efficient. They produce less heat. They have a longer lifetime on the bulb. It's much better than metal halides.
Yeah, I see that from the research I was looking at.
Kevin, yes, ATI is a great bulb, but at the Kelvins that like the 6500 Kelvin, um, even I think Giesmann has one. I think Rico was using that over his 40 breeder frag tank. He was using the Giesmann 6700s. It's just Giesmann is going to be, since it's marine aquarium lighting, is going to be much more expensive compared to a Spectralux, which is much more for commercial growing facilities. You know what I mean? But it's the same Kelvin. So just because it has 4 marine aquariums, it's going to be priced higher. Yeah,
Marketing.
Giesman and ATI, they're both great companies. Yes, sir. You're very welcome, Kevin. Anytime. Yeah, Tomer. You pay for brand. That's all it basically is.
Not only brand, but you pay for market segment too.
Yeah. Yeah. Mainly market segment.
Yeah.
All right, Kevin.
All right.
All right. Well, I think I'm gonna go grab me some lunch. It was great having all you guys on. I feel very honored that you guys joined me and wasted away your time with me. I appreciate for all you guys stopping by. And it was definitely a great talk, DeAndre, and all you guys, like always. I'll be seeing you guys later. Yes, it was, Kevin. Yes, it was. Alrighty. Bye, guys.